Hello all, welcome to our next webinar. This time we have actually come up with an interesting topic, controlling attrition. Is it a science or an art? As the topic looks very interesting, we have three industry experts along with us. I'll quickly go around about introducing them before getting onto the topic. We have Mr. Amit Rai, Head of HR from Tata Play, firstwell Tata Sky. He's been with Tata Play for the last 5 years. Possesses almost 15 years of experience, worked with organizations such as Haldiram, Coca-Cola. So we welcome Amit Rai for this webinar. We have Ms. Pooja Mathur. She's the head of HR and L&D for Magic Bricks. Magic Bricks, the Times Internet division, which is part of the Times Bennett Coleman Group. So she is the head of HR and she also takes care of L&D. She possesses more than 20 years of experience. She's been with the current organization for 6+ years and she worked in the past with Tech Mahindra. So we welcome Pooja to our webinar. We have Mr. Sudhir Mateti, head of HR from Sintel Telecom. He possesses overall experience of more than 27+ years, and he's been with Sintel for the last 14 years, rich experience. Prior to that, he worked with Aditya Birla Retail, SR Group, Tata Business Support Services. So we welcome Sudhir to our webinar. Thank you, Amit, Pooja, and Sudhir for joining us for today's session. My name is Subburatinam. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer from TeamLease Staffing. I'll be the moderator for today's session. So now, without delay, let's get on to the topic. So, very interesting topic, controlling attrition. I'll just start with the situation. See, picture yourself. The HR team is here. Before night, before we go to sleep, we just see a message that, okay, one employee resigned, which we definitely don't want to have that. And specifically, the moment we have not anticipated it, what would be the situation? And the next day, during a business meeting, the business teams comes and says that, oh no, this year I have not met the numbers. My team was not in place. And the next year AOP begins and the team says that, no, I have to recruit the team and I have to get the team set. For the business to be successful, we need the right people to be in place. So therefore, this particular topic becomes very interesting and important for all of us. So before we get in, let's actually talk quickly about what are the causes of attrition. Maybe I'll start with Amit. Maybe this topic we want to keep it general. I'll come round robin with each and everyone. Then we'll have some kind of a specific question. So what causes attrition, Amit?
Look, if you talk in general sense, most of the people leave for better opportunities / pay or reward. But I think the underlying thing, the way we read it is that as an organization, you couldn't fulfill the requirement that an employee has with the organization. And hence, this guy is going out to explore that thing outside somewhere. Second aspect is the culture that you brew in the organization. People come, see how you operate. This will go and it will hit both infant level attrition as well as people working in the organization. And how you are managing those instances within the framework of culture, what you call at large. If someone is not okay with that, he or she will leave. Thirdly, I think by nature, people want change. And in employee life cycle, I have seen people exploring newer things. An organization can give you as much, unless it's a very large conglomerate where you move from one pillar to the other pillar. You cannot have everything fulfilled and then people go out. So broadly, I have linked it to the entire life cycle, that how people or how employees think about leaving the organization. And what we have seen as an organization, the main reason for the leaving Tata Play Broadband.
Thank you, Amit. I think you are actually clubbing with your own personal experience. Let's actually listen from Pooja.
Yeah, so I quite agree with what Amit said, and how I look at anybody leaving the organization is the whole concept of when I, as an individual, stop getting a satisfactory answer to what's in it for me. The moment that answer ceases to give me a good return in terms of what is in it for me from the organization now. I may be at any stage in the my life cycle with the organization, at each, I mean, we can bucketize, if I am at just 1 year old in the system, or I might have completed 6 to 10 years in the organization, or more than 10 plus. At different stages, the expectations are different. Until the time those are met, I am there and I contribute as much to the organization. The moment I see that, that return is not equivalent to the kind of contribution I am making, that's when individual decides that, it is the time that I move on and explore something new. So maybe, I mean, at the infant stage, as Amit mentioned, I may be looking forward to what is, am I getting a role clarity? Is my role and my contribution aligned to, the larger objectives and stuff like that? Then comes, so we've all read the Maslow's hierarchy. It keeps moving up, right? The moment I cease to get an answer to that, no, I'm not moving up in terms of my needs and desires, that's when I think people, look forward to something else and beyond. So that's how I look at the attrition and the reasons behind it.
Thank you, Pooja. Very, very different perspective. When you said what's in it for me, then the expectations are different. So on this particular point, Pooja, there is a saying that, okay, monetary benefit is an important reason for attrition. Do you agree with that, or do you foresee anything else can actually be the reason?
No, much beyond that, because I also wear the hat of the L&D. Maybe in due course of time, we would discuss around that also. The scenario today has changed. It is not just the, benefit and the wage benefit equation that only works now these days. It is much beyond that, because people are looking forward to, uh, of course, I need to have me compensation commensurate my contribution, but it is a larger scenario that I'm looking forward to. And that's what I said, it still follows, though maybe we may say that, Maslow's hierarchy, but I still believe in that holds good in all aspects of our life, whether personal or professional. So it is much beyond just the wage and the benefits.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pooja. Let's actually hear from Sudhir.
Yes, I'll give you a very different analogy before I share my viewpoints. Earlier, people used to get married and remain married till the end of their life. If you look at today, divorces are on a high rise because of various technical reasons, compatibility issues, and so on, modern issues which has popped up. So why I'm connecting this analogy to the work life, is that it is very easy to separate either from a relationship or from an organization these days. There are thousands of other reasons why people want to separate. What I mean to say that tolerance level, the agility, the willingness to, accommodate, adjust, and move forward. There's a cultural shift, and this cultural shift is coming from the West, and this is what we are going at. We always think that copying the West is progress, that's a mindset, and that's what is the shift. One of the key reasons, topmost reasons as per HBR, also Harvard Business Review, also is the manager's relationship with the peers. That is one of the key reasons why most people look out for a job. In my experience so far, I have realized that people who have extremely great relationship with their managers and have great bonding with employees in the organization, not only work, but a great relationship at work brings them back to work, are the people who will never get right. If you have friends, colleagues, brothers, or, whatever relationship, wonderful relationship in the organization, not only with the manager, but colleagues and peers also, probably this is one of the reasons which glues people to the organization, which means the work environment is healthy. It's not only a great place to work certification, but it's an internal happiness, which means a lot to the people. Second important, there's a socio-economic pressure on the most citizens in India today. I'm talking about Indian workforce today, right now in this point. The prices, inflation is up, the prices is high, the rentals have gone up, the cost of living has gone up. So which means that the overall pressure of an individual to earn more is very high. Now, on one angle, we say that people are, looking at remuneration, pay packet. Is that the only cause? It's not the only cause. The pressure the system has built on people to generate more, their education loans, their EMIs, and so on and so forth. The system has put so much of pressure on them that there's a necessity to yield certain revenue the moment they join. Now, if you look at the salary growth structure globally and do a research, the entry level salary growths have not been significant. The middle level and the top level salary growths have been significant. Now, this is a bottleneck. Even today, if you look at, starters, there's a 3 lakh, 4 lakh package, and survival in most modern cities with such a package is really next to impossible today. I really pity how will they survive. It's very easy to sign offer letters, negotiate. Recruiters have been told to negotiate and give them lower salaries. Is there a manager who says that don't negotiate, give them what they deserve? There's a shift in policy, and one of the basic reasons is socioeconomic pressure and the relationship at work are the two key reasons why attrition is primarily reason for these things. This is my take on the subject.
No, thank you so much, Sudhir. I think when we all think from the inward perspective, now you also touched upon the socio-economic perspective as well. While you started with the kind of tolerance level and you touched upon the socio-economic, I think the broad perspectives are actually clearly coming out. So just adding on to this, just interesting question. So now you have rich 2.5 decades of experience plus. Now you might have seen so many people. Do you find some kind of a shift with the generations changing, Sudhir? What you would have seen 25 years back and what the kind of generation that the expectations are, is it changing?
Absolutely. A very wonderful question, Madhya. Interesting question, point raised here. Subbu, earlier people used to join as a trainee and used to retire from one organization. If I look at my dad, my grandfather, they joined an organization. My dad joined Air Force and retired from Air Force. My brother-in-law joined as a management trainee in Larsen and Toubro, retired from Larsen and Toubro. So, but if you look at shift change now, the tenure in an organization, now if I look at average tenure is 2.5 years. And that surprises me, like people change organization in 2.5 years and 3 years of time. And I always believe that in 2.5 years, the first appraisal is only knowing the organization and he faces first appraisal. The second appraisal, he performed or he's still in the learning curve and he's faces the second appraisal and he's out of the system. So the learning curve has become very small. Unless it's not about learning about technology, it's learning about an environment, about a culture of the organization, aligning my culture to the organization culture, trying to deliver. So there is a huge gear shift in the mindset of the people. And these huge gear shift in the mindset of the people is because of, again, expectation. We all expect. Let's say I have a team member or Amit has a 10 people team member. And if Amit expects everyone to perform like Virat Kohli, that's an unrealistic expectation. And second important point is everybody is certain subject matter specialist, and if you expect, there were the days when specialist bowlers were there and only bowlers used to bowl. Bowler would never bat. Now, today's generation, a bowler is expected to bowl well, field well, bat well as do a keeping also well. So it's a time of all-rounders today. Specialist doesn't work. You should be specialization in one, but all-rounder in all. Master of one, and you should be also jack of all, is what is the expectation of the today's generation.
Very true.
True. Multi-skill expertise is required at the point of time. Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Amit, I just want to touch upon, because you are in an industry where the attrition rate is actually quite high compared to other lot of industries. What do you think is creating an impact because of this? Because before we get on to the core subject of our topic, I thought, okay, I'll take some kind of pointers from you so that we can actually set as a platform for the upcoming discussion, Amit.
So I didn't get the question.
The impact of attrition to business, specifically when you have your the numbers pressure from everywhere coming in, Amit, and this kind of attrition, what kind of an impact it leaves?
So I think first is it impacts the performance of the organization. Stability is directly proportional to the performance of the organization, and if you have people coming and leaving, you can never give a throughput that your organization is looking at. Second, if you have high attrition, you deteriorate your brand, employer brand, because when people look at these data points, because these data availability has democratized to that extent where people have availability of this data, or they can talk to people. So you will not become very attractive as an employer if you see that people are coming and leaving very fast. Third, from the process standpoint, when you are struggling with hiring and exiting people, there are a lot of things that as an organization that you're supposed to do to take your organization ahead. You do not get time to do that. So you are stuck with the operational purview, wherein a job of an HR is to take culture to the next level. Now you are spending time only in hiring. So eventually you don't get time to improve as well. So you become stagnant as a function. So these are three things that I believe, and it's coming to my mind at this point of time.
No, thank you, Amit. I think that the third perspective is completely different because if you're not in a position to do your own HR work and you stuck with recruitment, I can understand because I know how critical the HR as a function for people's supply chain. And if you're actually, instead of focusing on improvements and if you focus only on recruitment, yeah, I know that adds too much of burden to the HR as a system, ecosystem. Thank you, Amit. Pooja, any thoughts from your end onto this? Any specific thing that you would like to highlight?
See, high attrition, is has different aspects to it because it depends on the what kind of industry you are operating in. Having said that, high attrition definitely impacts the credibility of the organization. That goes without saying. Be it be it the most agile organization, as a lot of organizations call themselves today, right? Especially the startups. Having said that, whether the managers or the HR being all the time only engaged into hiring and managing the attrition definitely does not show good about the organization, and hence it impacts the future talent as well. All these platforms like Glassdoors of the world, give you the actual true story of how the organizations are operating in the ecosystem of hiring and firing. So definitely it impacts big time. Now there could also be a perspective where people would talk about a healthy attrition, but what percentage of healthy attrition are we okay to go with? That again depends on the kind of ecosystem that you are working in. So that's how I look at this high attrition.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you so much. Before I ask the same question to Sudhir, but let me actually sharpen it. Sudhir, today, when we speak about the impact, what Pooja and Amit actually explained, so usually what happens, the voluntary attrition, involuntary attrition, right? So voluntary attrition, that is where our focus is. Involuntary attrition, suppose if organization decides to send them off, it's actually a material aspect. During this process, one of the impact, what actually happens is the knowledge transfer. And specifically, when somebody senior leaves or somebody is in the system for about today, the moment we speak about attrition, we all speak about, okay, the attrition is very high, specific to the sales as a function or as customer service as a function, and people get groomed and becomes like a missionary. Whereas when somebody at a senior level leaves, the knowledge transfer, somebody who has the complete expertise in that particular thing, how do you think that has an impact and what kind of mitigations that can be done for it? Just we want to pick your experience out of it.
Beautiful, beautiful question. I really appreciate the angle of asking this question, perspective of asking this question. See, what happens is even when the technology has grown so fast, we have developed, we have all data points, we have all, CRM systems, all SAP, all technology supporting us to collect all data points. However, there is a lot of information feeded on the human intelligence system. Over and above that, also the knack of understanding the business over decades at that position. You know, it's humongously large information in human to understand the culture, the business, the different aspects of the business. So this transfer, when you talk about attrition, the biggest problem is not only the resource leaving and impacting the organization, also the handover process. The employee is moving out is really not serious about giving it back to the organization, whatever he can. Whatever Excel sheet handover checklist that we prepare is merely 20% of the data point that we expect him to give. Real 80% of the information, the knowledge, the transfer point really vanishes. And that's where is the impact to the organization. So I always believe that the mitigation plan for such cases is you should always identify the niche key resources in the organization first. There are two important points that I would recommend here. First is have a great succession plan. Second important is also have a parallel second in command grooming time planned enough so that he takes up that position to that level. So all niche resources should have first in command and second in command, almost closer to 80% of the first in command. I will understand 80% is the benchmark. If anything lesser than 80%, he does not stand to be called as second in command. So if he's 80% there, that means you have mitigated 80% of the risk in the journey so far. And also, I see there is a lot of shortage of leaders in the industry and in India as well. We have all senior managers, we are all vice presidents and directors who are yet managers, not developed into mature leaders. So there are a handful of leaders in the organization, and even in the political fraternity also as leaders. So we need to have that broad thinking perspective, which is percolated down in terms of value system, in terms of culture, in terms of business acumen, in terms of number crunching, and so many other things. So the leader needs to percolate down to the first in command, and the first in command to percolate down to the second in command. And there should be a good, Pooja comes from an L&D background, a good transition phase to ensure that this knowledge transfer happens. If this happens, we have damage control mitigation plan in place. I hope I've answered your question, Subbu.
No, absolutely great to hear this, so that I think it gives your the rich experience what you possess. In fact, it is also correlating to the topic. One of the point is is it a science? So science is nothing but when you apply a structure, and if everything actually flows through well, that's exactly what you spoke about. So that way you can actually control such a voluntary attrition that can actually happen over and above a specific stage of a role. Thank you so much, Sudhir. I think it was a great insight. Before I move on, I think this time I thought, okay, let me actually have a question in the form of a very, very different model. I'm going to share a screen, and this question, Amit, is going to be to you. In fact, you touched upon it during your conversation, but then I just want to show this picture, and then we will actually start discussing, then go on to that question part. Just a second. And here comes the screen, Amit. Are
You got our attention? Are you all looking at the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the screen
Yes.
visible, Amit?
It
Yes,
is.
yes.
It is.
Okay. Yeah. So, Amit, my question is, when people come in, they come up with different expectations.
Yes.
When they face the reality, I'm sorry, I've used some movie pictures over here, but
Yeah, yeah.
okay, it will actually bring in the right attention. Then what happens in reality is completely different. So looks like, okay, what they are supposed to do and what kind of challenges do they face. So end of the day, then what happens is it actually results in infant attrition. So what is infant attrition? When somebody actually resigns less than 30 days, citing any of the reason.
Yeah, yeah.
How this science can be fixed, and what are your recommendations for organizations to actually pick it up the right mode for avoiding this infant attrition?
Okay. I think because it is more to do with science, and I have a different take on art as well. I believe art is more of a wisdom, and when you move from knowledge to wisdom, that's the transition between science to art. So in my view, I see Sudhir far more artistic than me in terms of controlling attrition. And this particular analogy can be applied to multiple domains. So now coming back to the infant attrition, I want to talk about the psychology aspect first. There's a term called cognitive flexibility. It's the flexibility, it's the neural model that you as a person develop over time, which helps you adapt to newer environment. So one bit I have seen, so there are two stakeholders, a guy who is coming into the organization and the cultural aspect that you have within the organization to showcase to the employee. So let me talk about from the first actor, who is the employee coming, or a newer employee coming into the organization. It is very important that whom you are selecting and what is your recruitment process. Cognitive flexibility or cognitive inflexibility can be measured and assessed. Whether your recruitment process is apt at making and measuring that or not is the first element. We are trying to constantly innovate our recruitment process so that we identify these behaviors in the beginning. Second, when people come to the organization, there are certain traits that you want to showcase. But if it will come in a very short period of time, it will appear as a shock. But if you give them enough time or information at the right interval, it will help them land softer in the organization. And that's where, as an organization, we have onboarding and we have pre-onboarding. So we start touch basing with the candidate at least 20 days in advance, where you will carry out small quizzes. You will let hiring manager talk to the candidate so that you are slowly and steadily exposed to the information that will help you come and settle in the organization better. Third, I think Pooja spoke about it. It's very important that what kind of job expectations that you set, because if you are hiring, you are always pro about organization, trying to give information which is very positive. But I think that's where we set wrong expectation with employee. You need to talk about the entire aspect and the gamut that you are giving it to employee. So the job reality, what kind of job, how can you portray that in sense of picture? Can you show that how a day of an employee looks like and the role that you are offering? We try doing that so that you have a better understanding that what you are signing off. And finally, the most important stakeholder is your hiring manager, the manager whom you're going to report. As Sudhir said, we do not have leaders, we only have managers. And a lot of intervention is required to improve the capability of people, those who are managing the newer incumbent in the organization. I see a lot of opportunity there. We are doing our bit so that we can sensitize our set of people so that they help these employees come and be there to reduce our infant attrition. Have we solved this problem for our organization? No. Have we improved? Definitely. So this is how I will leave my 2 bits on the questions that you have asked. If I have missed any part of the question, I can respond to it.
No, you answered it, everything perfect, with a lot of insights. Pooja, so do you want to have any kind of pointers add on to Amit's point?
Yeah, so here, Subbu, as one of the initiatives under the L&D umbrella, what we did is we started with a campaign called as "How can I help you to meet the expectations?" All right, so this is the tagline, where and the beauty of this was that it is not just the manager's responsibility, to help out the new incumbent. Everybody who's part of the entire chain here, whether it's the talent acquisition specialist or the business HR, the L&D, the buddy, the mentor, the direct line of reporting manager, all of them become a part of this campaign for any new joiner in the organization. And you have to analyze yourself as what is it that you can do to help the new joiner get settled in the organization, get acclimatized to the working culture, to get the business acumen required for the kind of role that he is expected to play in the organization. So this initiative of ours has actually helped a lot in terms of controlling the infant attrition to a larger extent. So obviously, to say that it has come down to a zero is would be something to, I mean, that will not be the right thing to say. However, this kind of an initiative uh, was largely taken very well by all the different functions, and to say, especially in our sales teams, where we generally, the attrition in our organization is higher relatively as compared to the other functions. And once the new hire gets to know that these are the people in the entire chain whom I can reach out to, and so that gave them the comfort to discuss. As I had mentioned earlier, role clarity, and as also Amit touched upon, there was something that we, during some of our pulse check discussions, we came across that people at the time of hiring, the discussion was on a different tangent. By the time I came into the organization, it was slightly different from what I expected. So the alignment to the role that was described in the job description to what I was supposed to be playing here, there was a difference in the two. However, this initiative of, okay, whatever has happened in the past, but now we are here for you to align you to the organization's systems and working culture, that helped a great deal, in controlling the infant attrition.
Thank you, Pooja. I think how can I help you to meet expectations? And that tagline is really, really interesting. Because that is like, okay, when somebody sees this every day, oh, okay, fine. You have some expectations, and how the organization and people, colleagues, everybody are going to help the person to meet the expect. It's just like amazing, amazing,
Yeah,
Pooja.
because it is not just a commitment from the new joiner that you've been onboarded. Now it's just you who has to contribute. It is
Yeah.
a lot goes from our end as well, as to how we are stretching our hands to handle the new joiner.
Perfect, perfect. Because that is actually what matters. Because when the new joinees are actually given the right expectations and when they're handled it appropriately, they will become the great asset for the organization. No
True.
doubts on that. Thank you, Pooja. Amit. Sudhir, any thoughts from your end?
I'll only share my first statement in the induction program is I welcome warriors to the world of challenges.
Oh, amazing. So it correlates the
That's my
picture which you
first sentence in the induction program. I hope that says it all.
Okay, nice, nice. I think it matches to the picture that we showcase here. Welcome, warriors, to the amazing, amazing.
The world of challenges, yes.
Yeah. In fact, I too had a similar kind of experience. I'll just go back to my initial days. I was working with Yellow Pages during that point of time. It was space selling. So I just correlate two examples in 30 seconds. In the first example, I had a team member who came in and said, no, why 20 calls? So obviously, I was so upset, irritated with my HR team, why this was not communicated to this person. And he left on the same day. He said that, okay, why 20 calls? Then after a couple of years, I met another person joined my system, and then he asked the same question, why 20 calls a day? Because in Yellow Pages, that was the norm during those days. A geography, a pin code will be given, and everybody has to go to the door to door, and space selling has to be given. So again, I was upset, but this guy said that, okay, why should I not do 30 calls a day? So that was a different approach. He said, no, they said 20 calls, but I actually, so that was very different. So it also has that, obviously, when somebody wants to actually onboard, if some shortcut has been followed, that actually gives us an infant attrition. And when somebody is being given the right expectation, and that expectation, when it is streamlined in a right path, I think it will actually give us a, in fact, that guy started, so there was a confirmation probation period for 6 months. There was a target to achieve. He achieved within 2.5 months. So that's how then the guy became asset to Yellow Pages. Almost 7 years he was there and then doing wonders. So this is how we actually find out some people during that particular infant stage and groom them, and they actually become great. Okay, great. So the second question I have.
Subbu, I want to narrate one episode of my life here.
Yeah,
Very
sure.
interesting.
Yeah.
In 2004, when I joined Tata Business Support, on the day one, I saw there was chaos. I called my ex-boss, who was from Reliance Infocom, and said, boss, it's chaos here. Yeah, I'll come back to Reliance. It's total chaos. My boss that time told me, Suri, don't come to me again. I said, why? He said, organizations hire professionals to settle the chaos, not to run away from the chaos. If you're a professional, stay there, settle the chaos, and then call me. When you're settled, call me. I'll be welcoming you. But right now, it's not the right time for you to come here.
Very interesting. In fact, one of the questions that I'm going to reserve for you is on this particular topic. I think you answered it unknowingly, Sudhir. All of us need some kind of a coach at one point of time, because everybody look forward for something on it, and the attrition actually gets controlled over there. Imagine if you have not been given such a suggestion on that date, or a recommendation or an advice. You would have been actually like, oh yeah, what happened to me? Maybe you landed up in, all your feelings will take control of you, right? Great, great, Sudhir. Anyhow, I'll come to that particular point again. Now, this question is to Pooja. So Pooja, I'm sharing this picture. So the first one on the left-hand side is like a maze. So everybody in their first 5 years, or maybe the first year precisely, they do not know what side to select, and they see it as a maze. Oh, okay, whether is this direction, is this the right direction? Oh, if I do this, will it happen? Like how when you ask a child who is, or a kid who is studying 7th standard, 8th standard, everything they will say, I want to become a collector, I want to become an IPS, I want to become an astronaut, everything they will say, and it will change every month on month. Same way for the first couple of years for an individual, if it is not streamlined, they themselves are actually at chaos. Okay, what is going to happen? So
Right.
number one, and the moment they have certain things, okay, how do we start sharpening? How do we identify the potential? So in all this, since you're also coming from the L&D background, it's obviously Amit Sudhir also completely handles the HR domain, and you also have that. But put just specific to you, these kind of career guidance, do you feel that, okay, will it really help controlling? skill development, will it actually make a lot of difference for our employees? And the third part, there's a three subset of it. How can we institutionalize this? It should, because most of the time it actually rests with specific people, which are people oriented. But how do we institutionalize this? So that's about which we thought, okay, we will actually pick up your thoughts into it, Pooja.
Right. So, so there has been a paradigm shift on how earlier, uh, the training per se was perceived as, and today what we call as learning and development, in the organization. Now, to answer to a question with respect to the images that you had shown, you know what I truly believe in is that definitely when I land into a new ecosystem, new organization, it actually appears to me as a maze, right? So there's something called as a framework that here in this organization we've given it as a name as a GLACR framework, where what we've done is we've bucketized that these are five core things that need to be taken care, so that employee feels, see, what is the glue, what is the stickiness to the organization. The moment I perform, the organization is able to realize that Pooja is able to contribute to the organization, is where I receive my rewards in terms of my compensation, increments, or other rewards and recognitions. So I will stay in the organization. Now if I have to stay in the organization, as we earlier discussed, it cannot be just the pay package. So what is it that what that becomes important here is, one, I should have a goal clarity. So how I define the GLSCR framework is that you have to have a goal clarity, you need to have a direction in the organization. Second, you move on to the learning opportunities. Now that I know that this is the goal that I need to achieve, I do bring in certain competencies with me, but there could be certain other aspects to it which I probably am not aware of as on today. Hence, those are the learning opportunities which an organization is expected to build around the new joiner or any incumbent for that matter, so that I can position myself and move up the ladder in the organization. So G stands for goal setting, L is the learning opportunity available in the organization, A is where the it is the assessment and the continuous feedback. Because the lack of continuous feedback, this is also aligned to our L&D initiatives as well. The continuous feedback, the moment that is missing, my entire efforts go haywire, because nobody is actually telling me that, Pooja, this is where you are going wrong, or this is something where you need to improve upon. So the moment that piece or that element goes missing, you would still see the employee just stationed wherever he had joined or wherever he or she was working, and then possibly that could be an case of attrition at a later stage. Around all of this, what we have built around is very, very strong communication framework. When I say communication, it is not just one-on-one manager to the employee communication, but communication built around top down and bottom up both. Here we expect our leadership team to be connecting with all the different cross functional people as well. They travel around the cities across different functions. So it is not so that a sales leader would only be addressing the sales incumbents. A marketing head is also actually addressing, traveling to our sales offices and giving them the larger scenario. What is it that we are doing, how are we contributing to the organization, right? So this is something that we have very, very strongly built, and that helped in people they love the entire structure and framework how we have built around it. And to the last element of this framework is the reward and recognition. uh, some organizations have a very structured program around this, some do very ad hoc basis. We have kept both in place, that do spot things as well, which could be the small wins that you have, and the other has to be the larger structured R&R framework. Now when we put all of this together, the learning opportunities help me to upskill myself. And that's how it relates to the kind of IJP programs that we have. See, a lot of times you would have heard it from the L&D practitioners that, it becomes difficult for us to, prove our ROI on the L&D investments that we have done in the organization. So why I'm actually giving you a larger picture here is that, we try to connect the L&D initiatives with respect to all these little nodes. So if the person has got enough learning opportunities in the organization, he or she that thus becomes, improves on the capability and is able to apply for different positions through the IGP, which further helps us in creating a succession planning. We are able to create certain successors, as very beautifully mentioned by Sudhir earlier. In fact, that is what I was noting down, that the successors, to the extent of somebody taking my responsibilities up to 80% of that, that's a beautiful way of how we can envisage this. That becomes very, very critical and important. So learning today has become, a central point. It is no more, an extra element that used to get added. Now, in kind of organization that, IT enabled organization that I am referring to, here people are curious to learn newer things. They're very curious to learn newer things, new technologies, and not just the functional aspects of it, but also the behavioral the leadership skills, all those aspects, because they want to keep moving up the ladder. The That is a cultural shift. As Sudhir had earlier mentioned, people also want instant gratification. uh, you know I want quick wins in the organization. The moment I have those
Yes.
quick wins in different forms, maybe in the form of, the career opportunities within the organization, in form of the kind of rewards or recognition that I get in the organization. But people are very curious. Gone are those days that, I'm happy, everything is going smooth, there's nothing to worry, my job is safe. Those days are gone. I'm actually, I can hop my jobs very, very quickly now. And hence, this is how we have strategized our learning initiatives, that, these they should be touching all these nodal points, so that tomorrow we showcase to the business that this is how we have been able to add value to your people. So IGPs are attached to it, your goal plan, your continuous feedback, how can I help you to do better and meet the expectations. All of those, are actually rooting out from the L&D initiatives. So that's how we have structured here at in the current organization.
Brilliant, brilliant, Pooja. I think you have beautifully woven the perspective of the career aspiration of an individual and the L&D programs of the organization, and how a specific activity is being driven in the form of the goal set, the framework that you actually mentioned about GILAR, how the rewards and recognitions are actually being aligned. Because today, to be very frank, this is exactly what I also tell people. Do you know what are all the ways that you can actually make money in an organization? It could be as simple as maybe even an employee referral. If you are good, why don't you bring one more good person? That's also an avenue for you to make a revenue over here. So all these things, when it is actually clubbed together, that gives the belonging. Oh yeah, I'm part of this organization. That actually helps, Puja. And the important point that you actually touched upon is, okay, the IJP part. Okay, how it can actually help people to grow within an organization. And once you show them, oh yeah, within this 2 years, if you do this and these are the things you have to take care, you will be eligible for this particular profile and you will be handpicked. The moment you say such words like, okay, you will be handpicked, they'll start giving more than 100% what they can actually give. Oh, there is a case study about one of the PSUs in the country. I'm sure all of us are aware, where beyond managerial level, they don't take anyone from external world. But until managerial level, starting from the entry point, all the people, whoever they take, compulsorily this will be like a curriculum for them. And they will be groomed for the leadership positions. And not a single leader has come outside this organization in the last 50, 60 years. So that's a case study, and I can clearly correlate this, Pooja. Amit, Sudhir, do you want to touch upon anything?
So, sir, please. So I just so from a career guidance standpoint, look, we all are exploring ourselves. But if you have a GPS navigating, helping you do it better, it's always good. So there is no doubt about it that we need that guidance. Secondly, if I talk about Dunning-Kruger effect, when I am exploring myself, I think I know it all. But once you start knowing the opportunities and avenue, then you go into valley of despair, where you know that you do not know so many things. So it's very important that you keep telling people, because from our aspect, from an individual aspect, you can explore as much. It depends on your own capabilities and capacities. From institutionalizing this in the organization, I think company, and you gave an example of that PSU, they have that perseverance to do it. Today, we showcase very different behavior. We want everything here and now. We need
Correct.
instant gratification. At
Correct.
one point of time, one organization is showing you that they will take the entry, they will stick by that guy, will take it to a certain level, and then they stick with them. Are we committed to that extent as an organization is the question that we should all ask. Otherwise, here you leave, somebody else will come in. So those conflicting goals, and if you're very clear with your purpose, I think you solve a lot of things for the organization. And again, I'm going back to Sudhir's comment. We need leaders for that. We cannot have managers doing it, because managers only look at instant rewards. If you really want to build very sustainable, it has to be beyond instant.
Rightly said, Amit. I think leaders make the organization, and leaders actually form people, and because of which the organization delivers results. Well said. I think, yeah, credits to Sudhir for actually touching upon that particular important topic. Sudhir, anything that you would like to sprinkle?
Two formulas which worked in my life. I'm not saying it may work for everyone, but which worked in my life, I would like to share here on this platform. I give standing instructions to my hiring team that whatever role you want to hire somebody who is not doing this role and who is aspiring to be here. Like, for example, a sales engineer, an engineer, customer support engineer aspires to be a techno sales guy. So that's an aspirational role. And no one is giving him because he doesn't have that experience. I would want to hire him, you know? So I give that instructions, aspirational job roles. People who are not doing that role, but who aspire to be there, please bring them on my table. Second initiative which has helped me in my life is I have a job rotation program in my organization. And job rotation program, anybody who wants to switch their jobs from a technical to a non-technical to a creative, I have asked a software engineer to do recruitment, and she's doing a fantabulous job. A recruiter is doing a software development job. She's doing a fantabulous job. So open invitation to people who want to switch job roles, and irrespective of their competency, I take the ownership of developing their skills and competency. But if there is an aspiration, I will fuel them with all the resources that I have. These two things have helped me in my life. I'm not sure how much will it value add to your, your current framework of work.
No, that's a right aspect to there. I can clearly see that whoever is actually having any form of aspiration, they will definitely achieve. Maybe it will get delayed, but they will definitely achieve. And I think we are actually narrowing down towards how the attrition can be actually being controlled in some of these forms, taking care of the infant attrition, or maybe from the skill development, or maybe this particular angle towards how people can be made or given an opportunity for their aspiration. Great.
Absolutely. If I could just add here,
Yes.
Subbu, some of the colleagues once, while I was having an interaction with them, so we've got something called a role-based organization structure that we have created for different functions. They said we are clear with what the career path is. However, we are hunger to know, which meant that I am not planning as of now to quit the organization, but I am hunger. I have this aspiration for me in me to know how do I reach that level. So if I'm today at level 1, and I can see in the career path that there is a level 4 and level 5 up ahead, please let me know what is the kind of contribution, and what are the kind of learning opportunities that I can have here to reach to that level, which clearly shows that people do not come with an intent to leave the organization. It is just the kind of the kind of environment that they are working in, the kind of support system that they get, which you know uh, uh, which probably forces them to take the decision to that level.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they
Thank
come with the intent that yes, I'm here, I want to contribute.
Superb, Pooja. That's absolutely right. Thank you, Pooja. I think before we close, see, I think this topic is wide ocean for all of us. A specific subject of infant attrition, we could have spoken for about 3 hours. Skill development, this is like a 3-day program. And all these are actually, when you actually look into our HR curriculum, these are all separate chapters by itself. We are trying to encapsulate with all our experience together to form into this 1-hour session. So there is one point which definitely we don't want to neglect it, and without actually sharing it and talking for next 2-3 minutes, I don't think we should actually call it off. Sudhir, this question is to you. I'm just sharing the screen here, and this is exactly what you spoke few minutes back about people, manager, because for attrition, managers play an important role. There are organizations where great organizations, people quit because of their managers. There are very normal organization where people stick on for years and years together because of the people. They see the value. So we want to pick your thoughts here, Sudhir.
Wonderful picture, and it depicts the culture that I am trying to build in my organization for last 14, 15 years. Attrition is not our problem. People don't leave us, you know. I am almost completing 15 years in this current organization. My colleague is spent almost 26 years in the organization, and average tenure in the organization is 10 years around. So attrition is not our problem. So the reason why we don't face attrition as a problem is because we handled employees like family members. You know, I know each and every employee, not only by employee code in a SAP, but I know entire life cycle. I know whose life there is a divorce going on. I know whose financial crisis are there. Where is the father-in-law or the mother-in-law health issues? Each and every nitty-gritties of life so closely well that the moment there is a case, I already know 80% of the case and only the latest update which comes on my table. To connect with the employees from a cultural standpoint, from a helping attitude point of, we not only help employees when they are in the organization from an organization standpoint, but we as HR managers have a responsibility is to be a mentor, to be a life coach, to be a guideliner, to be a career counselor, and so many other hats that we wear, like the mothers that she wore so many hats in our life. My mom was a pediatrician, my mom was a chef, my mom was a finance manager, my mom was a customer service head, so many other hats she wore, and I, grew upon with the mom's culture. And that's what mom's culture should be, an organization culture. If we are successful in building that culture, I think attrition will never remain a problem. I hope I'm able to just, do some due diligence in the question that you asked, Subbu.
Yeah, sure. So there, I think with the rich experience that you have and the kind of lowest attrition that you versus, I think it's a great insight, Sudhir. Maybe I'll just take some points from Pooja and Amit because that's where the specific industries are actually having the maximum attrition over there. Maybe your thoughts over there, Pooja, Amit.
Subbu, I feel manager as a coach is a very important aspect of the entire thing, and I think why people stick to the organization or why people get retained in the organization is one of the primary factors is definitely the manager. However, I am not much aligned to the statement that people leave also because of the managers. I say that people stay because of the managers, but I'm not in agreement to say that people leave because of the managers. See, I can be a good manager, very good colleague to my to somebody whom I'm mentoring or I'm managing. However, there could be certain things, and that's how I'm able to retain. I'm able to showcase to a disgruntled employee that there is still some good in the organization, and this is how we can work it through. You and me, we can work it through and probably progress together. However, there could be certain stages which now are beyond my uh, span of control maybe. This is where the colleague also understands that this is beyond Pooja's this thing, and which is where he or she may then decide that this is the point I want to now make, probably quit from the organization. So that's what I just wanted to say, that I do not agree much with the statement that people don't leave the organization, they leave the managers. Not fully in agreement to that statement, but yes, people do stick when the managers and the peers are really good, and good support system to them.
True, Pooja. Rightly, well said.
Uh, I believe coaching is not an easy job, and the fact that as an organization that how much you are spending to coach people or help them become a good coach is again a matter of discussion that we should take as a fraternity. With the technology coming in, and I think that's where ChatGPT's generative JAIs can help managers deal with it. But then it has to be on the foundation of empathy, where where I should empathize with the employee that I'm talking to, and then I have a support of technology to become a better coach. If we do that, I think the way Sudhir has solved that problem or iteration problem for them, I think a lot of organization can do that. And I think there were common threads that was coming out in every conversation that we had, where hiring manager plays a pivotal role. How can we train them that they listen to employee, how they have them a soft landing in the organization? Manager or the guy whom you are working with is an important guy. And I think Pooja believes that this guy will not leave because of him. I believe that they really leave because of them as well. One wrong instance and one wrong conversations, I've seen people coming and quitting because the opportunities are so many today. So, and they come with their own set of network, they just leave. So yeah, it's very important that we help people become better coach.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Pooja. I think both you were actually highlighting the same point, but in a different perspective, but well articulated. I also believe that. So, in fact, whenever I address people managers, Amit, Pooja, Sudhir, I just tell them only one thing: are you one of the reason for your team members to come to office, come to work? The moment if the answer is yes, you are like a magnet. You are actually not enforcing them. You are not doing a micromanagement. The moment you actually do that, automatically things comes up. Because the first thing is, for example, if I see, I have seen people when somebody says that, okay, yeah, I'm sending a message to my boss that, okay, I just got delayed in the traffic, 30 minutes I'll be late to work. Okay, no worries, take care. That will give so much of comfort and cushion. I know maybe if that is repetitive, that's a different story. But for the same message, can't you get up early and work, come to office soon? So that becomes a very different culture altogether, right? That's where the manager's role actually comes in. I think well articulated. I think great insights from all three of you, Sudhir, Pooja, and Amit. I think we are now coming to an end of the session. I think two things that I can actually look at it. As an maybe from having the industry experts from telecom, ISP, and tech domains. Telecom, Sudhir, ISP, Amit, and tech domain, Pooja. We have varied insights coming together and then saying, okay, how this can be done, the attrition can be controlled. All the structures that we are actually putting it across bring science into it. And when the employee feels the belonging, that's exactly what we were actually discussing some time back, then they look like an artistic view. I think those are all points what were shared were really good points. Thanks once again for joining us this particular session, Sudhir, Pooja, Amit. Wonderful hosting you.
Same here.
Same here. It was a lovely
Same.
discussion
It
and
was
great
wonderful
connecting with
learning, lovely discussion.